Welcome to Baden Street Settlement, where we have so much to offer.
Here at Baden Street, we have early pre-K.
And we have a top-notch child development center that serves children 6 weeks to 12 years old.
También tenemos comida y ropas para apoyarte en una emergencia.
At Baden Street Settlement, we also had food and clothing for an emergency.
Nuestro programa de salud dirigido a la conducta humana ofrece servicios para personas adultas con alguna discapacidad en el desarrollo o enfermedades mentales, incluyendo el apoyo para establecer metas y servicios.
Our behavioral health programs provide services for adults with mental health, substance abuse, and/or chronic medical conditions by providing support and assistance. In addition, we provide respite services for individuals with developmental disabilities.
Our Digital Arts Center has the technology to improve your learning and make your life easier.
I love Baden Street. I can come to the same thing at the school every day.
Did you know that we have programs especially for teens?
Si tienes 18 años o más, tenemos un programa excelente contra el abuso de sustancias controladas.
If you are 18 and over, we have an excellent chemical dependency program.
We make sure that our seniors stay involved.
Baden Street means the world to me.
Yeah, I'm a Baden Street. I love Baden Street.
Hi, I'm Mike Marsh. This is the Baden Street Settlement Monthly Town Talk. This is your chance to connect with what's going on at Baden Street. Come on in, let's talk.
Good evening, everybody. Let's talk. For those of you who would like a Spanish translation, we have that option available. Hi, everybody. Our Town Talk tonight is going to feature the Metro Council for Teen Potential, which I'll refer to as MCTP because the name is a mouthful. But they do some wonderful things with the self-esteem of the youth in our community. And one of the great things about MCTP is that they've had a tremendous impact on reducing the rate of teen pregnancy in our community. We'll then have our keynote speaker, Ms.Naquanda Jordan. We really appreciate Ms. Jordan taking the time to spend with us tonight to talk about mental health and wellness. We're then going to feature some of our youth in a discussion, our SOAR group, and I think that you really will enjoy the frank discussion. And then it'll be our pleasure to highlight with a video collage some of the great programs that our MCTP program has. They really have some amazing ways for youth and their parents to get engaged. And then we have our Town Talent segment tonight, which will feature some youth from our MCTP group performing some of the talents that frankly are featured in some of the programs that they're in. So I think that'll be enjoyable for everyone. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Ms.Naquanda Jordan, who is our keynote speaker tonight. Again, we really appreciate Ms. Jordan taking the time to be with us. Ms. Jordan is a master level macro social worker with 15 years of experience in the field of child welfare and community services. She is currently employed with the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. She has dedicated her personal and professional life to improving the lives of others with a focus on women, children, and people of color. She also works to address issues related to racial equity, inclusion, cultural competency, and development of minority leaders within the child welfare field. Her presentation tonight is going to be entitled Mental Health, We All Have It. And then after the presentation, Ms. Jordan will stick around to take any questions that those of you listening might have. So with that, I'll introduce Ms.Naquanda Jordan. Ms. Jordan, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us, and we're looking forward to hearing your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a very important community talk about mental health. I'm speaking with you this evening as a community member and a mother of a teenage African-American son. Mental health is a very important topic, and we have to be courageous and open to ongoing conversations within our families and our communities. Acknowledging personal challenges with mental health is not a weakness, it's actually an act of bravery. During 2020, we found ourselves in an imperfect storm. We were faced with COVID-19, racial unrest, and an economic crisis. We are still dealing with all of these issues today. I challenge you all to focus on regrouping and rising above this storm. There are numerous organizations and groups that are working to address many of these issues locally within our community. As I stated before, there is somewhat of a stigma within communities of color related to mental health, especially Black communities. Sometimes acknowledging and seeking help to address mental health concerns can be viewed as a weakness. It's not. That's not helpful. We need to be open, non-judgmental, and solution-focused as well, due to the fact that we all have mental health. And we may all experience challenges within our mental health at some times. For further information regarding how our community is currently responding to mental health needs, I recommend reviewing the recently issued report from the Commission on Racial and Structural Equity, better known as RACE. I recommend that you read the entire report and go through it, because there are a number of items that were addressed, and our county individuals and professionals have outlined specifically what we plan to do to take a look at everything in regards to how our community can better respond to addressing the needs of everyone within our community, specifically as it relates to mental health. Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I just wanted to make certain of that. Okay, so as I've stated, the topic tonight is mental health. We all have it. One of the things I wanted to make certain is that during our virtual town talk that we covered some specific goals here. I want you all to be able to leave and walk away from this presentation with some significant information. Specifically tonight, we will be discussing how adolescents are impacted by COVID-19 and remote learning. Also, we will identify ways to support your child through this time. We're going to talk about ways that you can take care of yourself during this time and address any general questions that you may have. We ask that you place them in the Q&A section, and we will discuss them after my presentation. Sorry about that. So first and foremost, mental health. What is it? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Specifically, when we're talking about children, it means them being able to reach specific developmental and emotional milestones, learning healthy social skills, and how to cope when there are problems. As adults, we're responsible for addressing these issues within our children and helping them to develop coping skills. There are specific factors that contribute to mental health, which include our genes or our brain chemistry, as well as any life experiences. Specifically, we're currently still in a pandemic. COVID-19 has had a significant impact on all of our mental health. Abuse and or traumatic experiences can impact mental health, and whether or not individuals have histories of mental health problems within their family. So the pandemic is impacting mental health in a number of ways, mental health and well-being. According to research, teen anxiety and depression during the pandemic is directly impacted to personal fears that children may have and uncertainties because, they don't always know what's going on around them. And unfortunately, that tends to impact their well-being. Parental stress, a lot of individuals have unfortunately lost jobs. There's been impact to our ability to maintain housing and other things that we were used to if and when we've been pressured with potentially losing a job. Child abuse and or neglect that children may experience, witnessing domestic violence also impacts anxiety and depression. Healthy and safe home environments are keys to combating these issues. And as adults, we're responsible for ensuring this. The other thing that may impact mental health is community violence. We know, as being residents and living in Rochester, that recently there has been a lot of community violence. So those factors also impact children and families. Isolation during the pandemic also may be triggering new problems for some teens, but for others, the situation has worsened existing emotional health issues. Parents and caretakers play a key role in helping their teens cope with stress during the pandemic. There are some useful strategies. Some people may say, well, I haven't observed my teen to have any issues with mental health. There's still some specific strategies that we all can engage in, whether or not our children are having difficulty with mental health issues. Teens may experience a wide range regarding the severity of their mental health problems, but if, as a parent or a caretaker, or even teachers or individuals that work in the community that come in contact with children, if you hear them or learn of the child expressing any thoughts of suicide or self-harm, that is definitely something that you would want to follow up with and work with that individual, family, parent, or whomever in regards to seeking mental health assistance immediately. So another piece is remote learning, lockdowns, and the pandemic. So as I've stated before, most teens have experienced some degree of stress during the pandemic. It's rare that we would speak to any child, teen, or individual that would say that they haven't had any stressors during this time. We've all experienced a lot of loss, specifically as it relates to teens. They could be in situations where they're missing friends. I talked about parents losing jobs. They also could have been faced with someone within their immediate family being sick, an unstable home life. These stressors definitely make teens more vulnerable to depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. Since the start of the pandemic, the National Alliance on Mental Health has reported that anxiety and depression has increased. It was already an issue amongst teens. We definitely had seen a rise in self-harm and just displaying of other mental health issues within teens, but during the pandemic, those issues increased drastically, and definitely is due to the fact that they are isolated, socially and emotionally isolated. As I stated before, so it's very important, and I'm going to continue to press upon this for parents, caretakers, teachers, anyone in a role where you have responsibilities or you work with children. Just be aware of warning signs, know how to seek help, where to seek help from. Model self-care, that's very important. We are our teachers to children, and so it matters how we take care of ourselves. So model self-care, help them to build resiliency and keep children safe and help them cope during this time. As adults, that's our responsibility. So how is COVID-19 impacting teens? So we talked about the fact that it's impacting their mental health. Everything has changed regarding anything as far as normalcy as it relates to social, physical, and educational interactions. Everything has significantly changed for children. So we have to be mindful of that. According to recent studies, there has been an increase in stress, anxiety, depression, and smartphone addiction. We knew before anybody who has had any interaction with teens, we know that they are significantly, addicted to these cell phones, and they cause a lot of other issues. There are a lot of studies out there that relate mental health challenges as far as anxiety and depression to addiction to cell phones and smartphones. And so that's one thing that we need to pay attention to. During the pandemic, there was a lot of idle time. And so we've seen an increase in children and families or parents sometimes really relying on cell phones and smartphone devices to distract children and actually keep them busy. The Center for Disease Control has reported that due to this, there has been an increase in mental health related emergency department visits for children. And so one of the things I also like to press upon on is conversation. Talk to the kids. Don't just go with the mindset that, they haven't said anything to me, they must be okay. I wouldn't encourage that. I would encourage you to invite your child to have a conversation with you and to actually talk about their feelings. Ask them. A lot of times they'll tell you, not always, but it's a really good practice to get in the habit of having conversations with teens and with children in general to make it normal. Ask them, how are you feeling? Do you feel, depressed, or are you feeling hopeless, anxious, or angry? I wouldn't encourage you to necessarily put words in their mouth, but help them to become familiar with what does it mean to be depressed, or how do you feel? Ask them about that. You can really engage in some good conversations and learn from them. If your child does express to you that, you know what, I have been feeling depressed, or I have been feeling hopeless, or I haven't felt myself like myself lately, they could potentially benefit from more support. It's not to say that they're going to need, an extensive amount of treatment. We don't know. But initially, if a child is expressing to you that they have some concerns, I would encourage you to follow up in regards to that. Be mindful that sometimes teens and adolescents or young adults, they may have trouble really expressing how they're feeling, because again, sometimes there's a good amount of being shamed about it, and or they feel like they don't want to burden others. So a lot of times it's very difficult for them to disclose that information. Younger children may not know how to talk about their feelings, but they may show changes in their behavior and or development. So next, I want to talk about how you can recognize some signs of stress in your child. Specifically, when we're talking about infants, toddlers, and young children, many may show regressions in skills and developmental milestones. They may also have increased problems where you may notice that they're being more fussy than usual, difficulty falling asleep, feeding issues, they're having separation anxiety, tantrums, bedwetting, whereas maybe they are, toilet trained and it's something new, or they engage in conflict or aggressive play. What I will say about this is we all have, raised children or infants, toddlers. Sometimes they can display some of these symptoms, and it may not necessarily mean that, they're dealing with stress, but I would definitely pay attention to any new or unusual behaviors that may be triggered by other events that are going on. Older children, they may show signs of distress and symptoms as, a change in mood or a loss of interest in things and activities that maybe they previously enjoyed. They may have a hard time falling asleep or staying asleep, changes in appetite, problems with their memory, not doing so well in school, whereas maybe they had thrived before, changing their appearance and or engaging in risky or reckless behaviors. The other thing is if they are expressing any thoughts of death or suicide or talking about it. Those are all signs of stress and signs that we would need to follow up and address those concerns. So one thing I want to talk about is coping during this time. So caring for your child, I would encourage you to talk with them about COVID-19, answer any questions that they may have, share facts, reassure them, let them know that they are safe, limit use of electronics, exposure to news coverage and social media. Sometimes it's very overwhelming and at times not always age appropriate for children. Try to keep regular routines. If your child is learning remotely, create a schedule for learning activities and relaxing. Create a schedule, write it down. I've done that in my home for my son, and I think that it's helped immensely so that he can stay on track. And also, kids need help carving out time for special time just to relax and or have fun. We can't always, focus them on school and that be it. They need time to break away. They need time for self-care. They need time for fun. Be a role model. Make sure that you're spending time with your child on a very regular basis. Set boundaries and provide purpose. I'm the type of parent that'll say and recommend, don't always say yes and don't always say no. Set boundaries for kids. We all know what they need. Monitor their academic performance. Make certain that you maintain contact with the school during this time and validate what their experience is. Again, caring for yourself is essential. We have to care for ourselves in order to care for our families, specifically our children. Take breaks from electronics and social media as well. Take care of your body. Find time to unwind. Connect with your family, friends. In addition to, if you're engaged in any community and or faith-based organizations, keep those ties. Even if, we have to do them virtual, that's fine. Make certain that you're engaging with others. And when you need to disconnect, that's fine too. But maintain those points of contacts. Be intentional about creating time and space for yourself so that you can recharge, decompress, and be in the best space so that you can, again, care for your child. Be thoughtful about how you're treating yourself and others around you. Be realistic. This is an unprecedented time. We've never been here before. So we're all trying to figure it out. If you or your child are struggling to cope, there are resources at the national, state, and local level. And I do encourage you to reach out to those and utilize those resources. I'm going to share some of them. Next, the most important thing I want to talk about during this time is pediatric care, and or, you know, in regards to yourself, just care in regards to your primary care physician is very important. I would say that that's the first step in regards to being able to make certain that your child is on track developmentally, socially, and emotionally. And if they're not, pediatric doctors they're general care providers in regards to pediatric care, but they definitely can make appropriate referrals as necessary. So I recommend highly that you stay in touch with your child's pediatrician. Make sure that you discuss any concerns that you may have. Also, ask your pediatrician to check and to assess your child's social, emotional, or developmental well-being. It's very important, specifically in regards to children that are facing higher rates of illness, specifically as it relates to COVID-19. We know that minorities were disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. We were more likely to contract the virus and more likely to, unfortunately, die from the virus. So it's very essential within our communities that we're paying attention to our overall health. And sometimes specifically with children that have special health care needs. Make certain that you are following up with the pediatrician. They can screen for depression. They can ask about other concerns as it relates to anxiety and or stress. The doctor may also ask about symptoms in other family members and or household members so that they can conduct an accurate assessment in regards to your child and their overall health. The other thing is, when we're talking about teens, it is important to note that sometimes they would like privacy. Sometimes they're more open to speaking with a pediatrician if and when mom and dad or a caretaker aren't in the room. However, don't force them to do that. If they're not comfortable, they don't have to. Some pediatricians do ask to speak with children alone, but make certain that they're comfortable with it. Lastly, if your child was engaged in mental health services prior to the pandemic, I would really strongly urge you to make certain that they've maintained that contact, that they've followed any recommendations or treatments. In addition to that, stay in touch with the mental health professional. Many providers are offering services by telephone, and/or video technology. Whatever you have to do, don't lose contact, just because it's very essential for children, you know, even during difficult times, to maintain any type of treatment that they have been engaged in, just to continue their overall care. So some key messages are: listen to and communicate with your child. That's first and foremost. If you know, I know it's very difficult. We have a lot of competing priorities, but make certain that your child knows that he or she can come to you about most things. Listen to them, communicate with them. That is very essential. That's the only way to know what's going on with them, to make certain that we can link them with, you know, whatever appropriate services. Recognize any signs of stress. That's important. So listen, look, and learn from them, honestly. Practice and model self-care and resiliency within yourself. Our kids are watching us, so they are going to pay attention to how we're responding to stress and how we're managing that stress as well. The other thing is always seek professional help. We don't have the answers to everything. There are a wide variety of professionals within our community. There are a ton of resources. So if and when you find that you are facing a challenge, be certain to reach out and seek help. So here are a list of resources. I'm thinking that we may be able to share this if people are interested. There is a National Parent Helpline. There is a National Domestic Violence Hotline. There are national suicide prevention hotlines, a National Alliance of Mental Health, mental illness. There are national hotlines in regards to substance abuse and mental health treatment. Locally, there is a Monroe County Lifeline at 211. You can dial 211 for assistance in regards to that, and or 311 if you have any other questions about community resources. In addition to that, Monroe County has a Department of Mental Health. And so I would also encourage you to take a look at that online. There are a significant amount of resources if you have any questions and or require any assistance. Any questions?
Ms. Jordan, thank you so much. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
One question that I had is, adolescence is an emotionally turbulent time for many people, even in normal times. And is there a way to kind of distinguish what's the normal turbulence of adolescence and what are problems with mental health?
There is a way to distinguish that. You know, we know that all kids engage in certain behaviors, and some of it is considered is normal, you know, but I would say that if is something that is persistent and you're noticing that their overall mood has changed and is significant in long term and it's impacting their daily life, for example, like if it's impacting their ability to engage with family members, if it's impacting their ability to engage in school and to be successful in school, if it's impacting their ability to socialize with other children their age, if you notice that their affect is different and or low, and if they're expressing that there are concerns if and when you're engaging with them and talking to them, I think that it always would deserve some follow-up and or attention. And your first line of follow-up is not necessarily to say, you know, oh my, they must need immediate mental health treatment. It's not to state that, it's to say, definitely have a conversation with your child. And then if he or she expresses that, yes, there are concerns. I do feel like this is impacting, you know, my daily life, you know, or I don't feel good. I don't feel like getting up in the morning. I don't feel like engaging how I've engaged before. I would encourage you that your first line of defense, so to speak, is to follow up with your child's pediatrician and to have a conversation with the pediatrician about what you're observing, and to go from there in regards to what next steps or recommendations would be. If your child ever engages in any type of suicidal ideation or thoughts or anything of that sort, that requires immediate attention. But in regards to trying to figure out what's the difference between, you know, normal adolescent behavior versus, okay, my child may be struggling, you know, sometimes it is a fine line, but I would say to err on the side of safety, to be cautious and to always follow up with the pediatrician. They should be being seen by the pediatrician at least yearly anyways, sometimes more than that if there are any underlying concerns, but make certain that you communicate any issues or concerns with your pediatrician.
Suppose you don't have access to a pediatrician or you don't have a regular pediatrician.
Well, I would say if you don't have access to a regular pediatrician, I would contact Monroe County and follow up with them in regards to that. There are some links. All children could potentially have access to Medicaid, depending on the situation. I would have to, you know, hear a little more about it, but I would encourage you to follow up and to contact the county as well to find out who is currently accepting patients, because all children have the right to be seen by a pediatrician, and there are resources in our community to make certain that you're linked appropriately with medical services.
Thank you for that. Also, in your presentation, you referred to self-care. Mm-hmm. And I think self-care is important for everybody. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Self-care is literally taking time out of your normal day to take care of yourself. And when I say take care of yourself, I'm talking about your mental well-being, your spiritual well-being, if that's something you would like to focus on, your physical well-being, and your psychological well-being. With that is making certain that those things are balanced. And by doing that, it's taking time to step away from the everyday hustle and bustle of everything and to simply care for yourself. And it's something that you should be engaging in on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be anything that's extensive, but it should be something to where you're taking quiet time, you're trying to regroup, you're focusing on what your needs are internally, and what are some things you can engage in on a regular basis to make certain that you're taking care of yourself and you're maintaining your overall health and well-being. So it's really about engaging in different habits or practices to make certain that you are really, feeding yourself with whatever it may be that you need to re-energize and to take care of yourself.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to spend with us tonight. That was a great presentation. I think there's a lot of things that we can all take away. So thank you very much, Ms. Jordan. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate all of your time too.
And so now we're going to hear from some youth. Excuse me. It sounds like my cousin Vinny. So now we're going to hear some members from our MCTP community. They're going to have a really frank discussion, and they allowed us to film them. And this is called our SOAR group. In that group are Keefer Zhou, Rick Zhou, Arjun Patel, Andre Levert, Tekiyah Chambers, and then we'll have some parent experience from Tasha Walker. I think you'll enjoy hearing from them in this video.
What words come to mind when you hear youth mental health?
I think a big thing that youth and students struggle with is stress and depression from build-up of like schools or like maybe like internal family problems.
Yeah, definitely think like worrying about education is a big part of youth mental health these days.
So then, like if you're really stressful and you have depression, that could lead to suicide in some cases. So it could be dangerous not to deal with.
Self-harm, that's another thing that comes to mind.
A big thing for me with youth mental health is anxiety. I know I experience a lot of anxiety myself around school and just like my social life and stuff like that.
That's really big judging, like, and comparing yourself to others definitely like leads to stress, like anxiety and like social anxiety.
Insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity.
Like what Arjun said, competition between people, feeling like you have to always be the best.
How has the pandemic affected youth?
I think it's definitely reduced like education for people and people, mental education obviously hasn't been as good this year because of the virus, so I think that's definitely a big factor.
Socialization, just being able to be around people.
Yeah, I feel a lot less connected to all my friends with the pandemic going around because I'm able to see them all less, like in person.
I feel like youth mental health is at an all-time low because of the pandemic. Like I know I started off the school year at home, and it just wasn't working for me. My grades were completely down. I was depressed a lot, but like once I started going back to school, like getting that like social interaction, then like it boosted my spirits, like it kind of motivated me.
I definitely think a lot of social anxiety has to do with it, and that also has to contribute with lack of education, right, in some cases.
I think that some kids be like, because they have the choice to do work, so they choose not to do it instead of just doing it because they're not in school and in the environment to get them to like do it.
Yeah, I think what also adds to stress is that people aren't able to go outside and do physical activities like sports as much, so they're like stuck inside, and yeah, it's really confining and it's hard to go.
How can adults in your life better support young people?
I would say just for adults to be more understanding. Like I know I've had conversations with adults and they're like, oh, school should be so easy now because you're online, but that's not really the case. It's in fact a little harder for some people.
Yeah, I feel having an understanding parent could relieve a lot of stress on you. Like they could comfort you when you're like if you did bad in a test.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a big factor. Yeah, reducing stress, and also I think it's like they guide you through what we're going through right now. And, I mean, they haven't experienced anything like this as well, but I know that you could share your experiences and might benefit.
Yeah, I agree. I think since they're more mature, they can deal with like such a big change better. So they have to be able to like console kids or students if they need it and provide extra support where it's needed.
Going along with like being understanding, I know some parents like think that their children are always coming from like a disrespectful manner when they try to like come to them about things. So like being more understanding would like help a lot.
I have a question. With the rise of COVID, do you have more of a love for the actual physical school? Do you miss school? Do you have more of a respect for it now?
Yeah, I definitely, when I was at home, I was like, why did I complain about school so much? I was like, this is not it. Being at home is not it.
Yeah, being at school like half the time now, I can definitely see why school is really important to like socialize and to just like get in good education.
Yeah, definitely the quality of education has dropped since COVID. In school is just a lot better, as well as just social scene with all your friends. It definitely helps just boost morale.
And so like, it's a lot harder to get a teacher's help from behind a computer screen than in person, like right next to them.
Yeah.
How do programs like SOARS meet the needs of youth during this time?
Well, SOARS, it stands for Sexual Outreach and Advocacy Resources. So I know like kids are still like hooking up with each other and stuff, and we're just basically helping them be safe during this time.
Yeah, so it's doing a good job spreading awareness about like certain situations you should not be in, and we're definitely like I think it's easier for like kids around our age to learn and deal with it better when being taught by their peers, kids around their age, instead of like older grown-ups.
I definitely think the purpose of SOAR hasn't changed due to the virus, but I definitely think that right now it's just as important as it ever was, because people are supposed to be at home, but not everybody follows those rules, and people are still being with each other. So this SOAR is definitely just as helpful as it was before.
Yeah, I agree. Despite the guidelines, I think people may even be like going out more, and like I think people might be like students might be getting like more like intimate, I guess, with each other. So I guess what SOAR does, how we educate people, I think it's more important now more than ever, because like a lot of people don't understand how big of a problem this is, and they might not even consider one. But yeah, it's a really important issue that we focus.
Tell us about your connection to MCTP and the programs that your family has participated in.
Okay. Well, my connection to MCTP, I'm a proud former employee with MCTP. I worked there for, I believe, 7 years. And so that kind of gave me my stomping grounds in the world of human services. And the connection I have, or the family programs that I participated in, one of the good things about being an employee was that I kind of did like a twofold. So I was a participant in the programs as a mom. So I would kind of take my employee hat off and then be kind of like a mom in the programs as well. So I participated in many events like the the Zhou overnight trip, which was great because it gave my daughter a lasting experience, a memory that she still remembers. I know every time we drive past the zoo, it's like, "Mom, remember the overnight stay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember the panda." So yes, a couple other programs we did was Cooking Matters. That was an awesome experience because it kind of invited families due to COVID into each other's kitchens and be able to create a fun recipe. And as a mom of a picky eater, that program really expanded my daughter's palate and gave us the ultimate just try it moment. And that was cool because it got her to kind of experiment and try new foods. Some of the other programs that we participated in was the Guardian in Me, the program that's all about puberty and adolescent and body development. So that one really was my mom hat ultimately, because that program kind of opened my daughter and I up to having conversations, to normalizing the uncomfortable conversations that can happen. And I know as a mom, just making that a everyday kind of thing, and not taking the shame and the stigma away from puberty, body development, and just making it normalized. That was one of the grateful things that I appreciate about being a part of programming. And one of the major things that I do appreciate about MCTP and all the programs they do offer for young people is that it's free. And that if you are a parent, or especially for parents of multiple children, you could potentially have your kid in a program and expose them to things that you normally couldn't afford, or normally just wouldn't even be offered to your child. So that's one of the beauty in the programs, and it kind of expands kids' horizons on things that are available in this community and in the city.
What do you think would help parents support their children during this pandemic?
What would help parents support their children? First, I would say even just check in with yourself. As a parent, I know that we sometimes are very hard, or we think that we have to have all the answers, and that's just not the case. So check in with yourself first and seeing how you are and how you're doing. Next, I would say check in with your child. I know kind of we get into the groove of life and you just kind of get into the everyday, and you have to sometimes stop and think about the moments, or look at your child's behavior, and are you okay? Checking in. Has anything changed with them? So how can we best support? It really just depends on the day, but really I say just checking in with your child. And if, sometimes talking is not always easy for young kids. So I even encourage with my daughter, write me a letter. Tell me how you feel. Or if you have other creative outlets. I know Rochester, when it's nice outside, everybody wants to be out. Explore a park. Just trying to create routines within this new normal that we have, but then also be okay with breaking routines and getting outside and exploring, or just finding some type of creative release as well is always helpful.
How can schools and community organizations support youth and families?
Well, good question. Schools and families, how can they support youth during this, youth and families? I know I had to kind of take my hat off and think about other people's situations and how this COVID has really impacted. It may have not impacted me as much as it may have impacted someone else. So schools and communities can just continue to offer resources to families. I believe that's most impactful. I know a lot of city rec programs have opened up their rec centers to offer meal distribution to families that have faced food insecurity. I know that schools are really honing in on mental health at this moment, because not all young people have words to describe what's going on in here and in here. So even just providing resources and an outlet for young people to at least, like I said, talk or share their heart, write, have some type of creative release, or just be able to be a listening ear and provide community supports and networks in the field that can best assist young people and families of where they are right now.
As a mom, what words of wisdom do you offer other moms, other dads, and anybody going through this situation during COVID?
Words of wisdom. Chile. Don't let, I've seen a quote that said, don't let social distance equal isolation. So don't close yourself off to opportunities. Don't close yourself out. And I say that you can still be safe and enjoy your family and still live life. Don't live in fear and don't live in isolation. Just keep positive and keep moving forward.
Great video. And that's exactly the kind of discussion that MCTP encourages our youth to have. And I really love the insights of Ms. Walker. I think that was a great video. I think you get the idea now that MCTP isn't just one program. It's a series of programs. We do a number of things to help our youth get engaged and to give them a sense of being, a sense of self-esteem. And so I think the next thing we're going to do is play a video where we have kind of a collage of all the programs that MCTP offers. And then after that, we'll have a chance to ask any questions that you'd like to about MCTP.
Greetings, my name is Jennifer Quick, and I'm a project coordinator and health educator with Metro Council for Teen Potential, commonly referred to as MCTP. I have been with the agency since 2013. Thank you for taking the time out today to learn about our department within Baden Street Settlement of Rochester. MCTP leads a citywide effort to promote youth health, youth success, and to prevent teen pregnancy. MCTP works closely with the City of Rochester, RCSD, youth health organizations, Planned Parenthood, and many others. MCTP engages young people in sexuality education, peer-to-peer leadership programs, creative arts, community service, media production, independent living skills, career planning, and much more. MCTP also helps deliver family and parent programs that teach cooking skills, sewing, and family communication skills. We also work with In Control. The In Control program is a collaboration between Planned Parenthood of Central and Western New York and is Rock City's most official teen program. For over 25 years, it has been a program with purpose. In Control links together opportunities, neighborhood outreach, and health education to help young people thrive in the City of Rochester. Creative arts, positive youth development, and peer education have been major markers of this program. You can learn more about In Control on their website. Collaboration is key with MCTP. Many projects are attached to the New York State Department of Health. The DOH project that I work on collaborates with the City of Rochester and is called SRAE, Sexual Risk Avoidance Education. Our focus is on 10 to 13-year-olds and their parents and guardians. The program includes the delivery of an 8-session curriculum about puberty, STDs, pregnancy prevention, and has tons of positive youth development activities, discussions, and field trips. For parents and families, we are currently offering a 4-week Cooking Matters class in partnership with FoodLink. Families there engage in meal prep, cooking, and learning together via Zoom. If you have youth that are ages 10 and up and are looking for programming, let's chat on how we could collaborate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Selena Ragland. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I started at Baden Street Settlement in 2019. I'm a health educator / youth development specialist, and I work with youth ages 10 and up. The curriculum I focus on is called Be Proud, Be Responsible, or Making Proud Choices, and it is geared toward youth 14 to 17 years old. In about 7 class sessions, the curriculum addresses youth dreams for the future, adolescent sexuality, abstinence, STIs and HIV, pregnancy, and so much more. We partner with high schools and other community programs to ensure our program reaches as many young people as possible. We want students to be engaged with the material, so our program is very much discussion-driven. As an educator, it is my goal to create a safe and judgment-free space for youth to express themselves and get answers when they're not sure where else to turn. Making Proud Choices is based on facts and gives students the resources they need to make informed life decisions. Right now, the program is offered both virtually and in person. And if you'd like to have Making Proud Choices brought to your school or program, I'd love to talk about how we can make that happen.
That's a great video and great discussion of the programs that MCTP offers. And this evening, I'm pleased to have with us Sheila Driscoll and Jennifer Quick from MCTP. Sheila is the director of MCTP, and Jennifer you saw in the video. So I invite you guys to ask any questions you might have about MCTP. I guess the first question is how do people get involved with MCTP?
Well, some of that is just being in the right place at the right time. We work at a lot of the schools mostly in 8th through about 11th grades. Also, parents can check out our website, metrocouncilrochester.org, find our contact information. And in the after-school setting, we have programs for, as Jennifer described, 10 to 13-year-olds, and we also have programs for older teens. One of our priorities is to encourage kids to get into community service and youth leadership. And you saw the students from SOARS having that frank discussion around the table. So that those kinds of youth leadership activities are really important. And please, if your young person is interested in that kind of a program, please do get in contact with us.
And do you have a list of programs? It seems like you have the programs are pretty dynamic. They change over a period of time.
Well, we have our main program for 10 to 13-year-olds is based out of the city R centers. And so we do different activities, lead different activities there, but we try to have a permanent relationship with several of the R centers. So, and then a lot of what we do is in school. So it's really up to the school to invite us in. And we offer a really valuable curriculum. It's at no charge to the schools. So if you would like us to visit your child's school, just put in a word with the principal or the health teacher, and we will be there very quickly.
How would you guys define the mission of MCTP?
I can start. I think it's a very packed dynamic work that we do. Teen pregnancy prevention is definitely our mission. We are also a convening agency where we bring together other youth serving agencies to create impact and change in our community. But also positive youth development is a strong hallmark. But ultimately for me, the word collaboration is super strong. Every potential interaction in our community is a possible partner, a possible opportunity to serve youth through that agency, or just a good networking connection within Rochester. As we all know, Rochester is fairly small, especially in the youth serving field. So it's very good to strategize to use our resources together, for fairs, events, just using what we have together to do more is huge, but very much so collaboration and positive youth development for me. Is there anything you'd like to add, Sheila?
Well, I think Rochester is a community that really values collaboration, and we've had such successful partnerships over the years with Planned Parenthood, with their In Control program, which includes the dance program, with Food Link, with all kinds of neighborhood-based programs, Center for Youth and SPCC, et cetera. So we really all try to support each other and make sure that young people get as many opportunities as possible.
One of the things that's always impressed me about MCTP is that there are actually statistics and numbers that you can point to show your success. Could you guys elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, we have been keeping track of teen birth rates since about 1990. And back in the 1990s, Rochester was known for its very high rates of teen birth and sometimes very difficult circumstances that those families were faced with. So over the years, year after year, the teen birth rates have dropped in Rochester because there has been focus on health education, youth development, youth opportunities. So we've gone from a teen birth rate of about 10% down to about 3%. So that's a phenomenal development. And it's been very, very consistent decline. So we thank young people for taking our messages seriously, for striving to have healthy relationships.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add about MCTP?
Definitely check out our website. It's very informative. We do have some social media outlets, mainly through Facebook, but definitely where our contact information is there if folks have possible, suggested resources or potential collaborations. We're definitely open to it, and we look forward to hearing from folks.
Thank you, Sheila and Jennifer. Thank you for all the work that you do with MCTP, and thank you for helping us with this program tonight.
Thank you.
It's fun.
Next is going to be our raffle. And so the winner of tonight's raffle, drum roll, is Candace Rubin. Love the special effects. Spare no expense. And now we're going to have the town talent segment. Every week, it's our pleasure to kind of showcase some of the talent around Baden Street. And this time, we're going to have featured some of the youth from MCTP, and it's kind of another video collage. So I hope you enjoy it.
Fear the truth, fear the lies. The past reminds my ghostly spirit of my unfinished business. My heart stops. The horns of confrontation pierce my soul. However, the horns in which I adorn have pierced others in the expense of my desire. The horns are lodged deep into my essence. Do I wait for the horns to dislodge themselves, or do I brace my soul for eternal bleeding?
So I always like to close our town talks telling you about the programs that we have available for our community. Of course, you heard about Metro Council for Teen Potential tonight. Next month, we're going to feature our Community Youth and Adult Development Group. We're doing some really good things there. We, of course, have our Child Development Center that we talked about last month, our Behavioral Health and Community Services, Chemical Dependency Counseling, our Mark Center, our Mature Adult Resource Center, is going to reopen soon. Look for that. And then, of course, our Digital Arts Center, and what I'd like to call the heart of Baden Street, our Emergency and Family Assistance Group. And one thing that I wanted to talk about tonight is our 120th anniversary. On May 4th at 1:20 p.m. See how that works? The actual Baden Street birthday is May 4th. And it's our 120th anniversary. So at 1:20 p.m., we're going to have a drive-by birthday party. You guys have the information on that? So we really invite you to participate, to stop by, celebrate with us on that actual Baden Street birthday. I think that you'll have I think that you'll truly enjoy it. And then the one thing that I always like to also close by, especially in the time that we're living in, is that get your vaccine. Don't just do it for yourself, do it for everyone. At Baden Street, we kind of thrive on togetherness and being together. And that's been very difficult during COVID time. So the more of us that get our vaccine, the faster we get it, the more we're going to be able to gather together and enjoy the times that we love at Baden Street. I'd like to thank Lee, Jennifer, Sheila, Naquanda, Davis, Lydia, and Christina for a great town talk tonight. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next month. We'll talk about community, youth, and adult development. Have a good evening, everybody.